Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Korra Book 3 Change speculation video. This one's going to be going into the finale, which is episode 12, Enter the Void, and episode 13, Venom of the Red Lotus. Fun fact straight away, episode 13 will in fact be the 100th episode of Avatar overall. So obviously ATLA has 61, episode 13 of Korra brings Korra up to 39 episodes, which, put together make 100. So that's really interesting, episode 100 overall of Korra. Not counting the unaired pilot because it's not an officially aired episode, but still really, really cool kind of milestone for the series that we have 100 episodes now to talk about. But yeah, speculation. We've had all of the episodes before the finale. We're going into it. The big question that we still just are asking ourselves is, what do the Red Lotus actually want with Korra once they get her? Why are they so eager just to capture her? Their plan initially was to raise her from young as an avatar with their own ideals, so that she wouldn't have a problem with freeing Vatu when the time came, and all of that sort of stuff, that she would agree with their philosophies over the Order of the White Lotus, because they would have raised her themselves and trained her. That's not going to happen now. She's old enough where she wasn't trained by them. She disagrees with them, in fact, now, so that's not going to happen. So why are they so eager to capture her, and what do they think they're going to accomplish by doing so? Because if they just wanted to, kill her, they probably would have done that already. But they specifically want to capture her and use her for something or something like that. We're not overly sure. Bring her somewhere, who knows? There is a speculation going on throughout the fandom that these will be the first core villains to go from series to series, so that they may actually go into book 4, and we may see some big events over the next book as well. That, I think, definitely has the potential to happen. In that we could actually get the reveal that Zahir and his group are not actually as high up in the Red Lotus as we think. They could just be lackeys, basically, just members, and there could be other members of the Red Lotus still out there, still alive, that have a lot more that are a lot more powerful, a lot more high up than them. So it would still agree with the whole thing we've heard since very early in Korra's production, that each book of Korra is going to have its own villains, its own plot, linked together by character arcs and stuff like that, a few things carrying over. That would work because that way you could have the Red Lotus accomplish something in the finale, their venom basically that they leave behind. They could still be taken out. This group goes down, is captured again, but they accomplish what they did, whatever, they get Korra to the rest of their Red Lotus group. And we end the book with Korra captured or something like that, but under imprisonment by, say, the leader of the Red Lotus. If they even have one, we'd assume maybe some of the higher ranking members, maybe, because they don't believe in leadership really. Because there is the whole thing of the person who established the Red Lotus, Zhaibao. He has the potential to still be alive. Because obviously it's Zhaibao's Grove, they specifically said he was a member of that. Maybe Gura Lahima, no, there's no way he's still alive actually, they said it was many, many years ago. Hundreds, thousands, I can't remember exactly, but there's the potential for more Red Lotus members to be introduced. But that's super crazy speculation. I don't really expect that that's going to happen. A lot of people have been speculating that maybe Toph comes back into things at some point. She is maybe the big surprise hero reveal of the finale. She comes in and helps save the day or something like that. That would be really cool, just because it would bring the Lin and Su Yin stuff back into things, in that they have kind of hinted towards Lin and Toph maybe meeting again and having that moment where Toph reveals to Lin that she is very proud of her or something like that. We had that at the end of the second episode. Whoa. We had that at the end of the second episode, covering their Old Wounds, episode 6 I think that was, covering their kind of family drama, that Sue knows that Toph still is very proud of Lin, but Lin maybe doesn't believe that until she hears it from Toph's mouth. Then the whole setup of just where Toph actually is, she's she's off, trying to find enlightenment. And if she's in the Earth Kingdom, she's probably heard about what's gone on with Ba Sing Se. Maybe she's heading there right now. That's a cool little thing going on in the background. Especially with Zuko, we assume like leaving the series for now. Like we probably won't see him again for the rest of the book. Maybe we see him leaving at the start of the next book, at the next episode, but he's potentially gone as like a main character in this book so far. Maybe to see him again in book 4. So I think you really have the potential to bring back in one of those older characters, which would be really cool. But that's just some like speculation about like stuff that we're not really sure how that's even going to get to that situation. What we know is going to happen from the clip for this episode is that Korra has decided, based on what she talked to Zuko about, that no matter what plan they come up with, the one thing that's always going to be the case is that if Zahir thinks that they're trying anything, he's going to kill the people at the temple. And so Korra basically decides at that moment she's handing herself in to Zahir and putting everyone else ahead of herself. So she's going to make that big kind of a selfless sacrifice, and that's really cool. But obviously that ends with her basically saying, I'm going to save them, and after that you can do what you want. You can try and save me if you want. So she's going to hand herself in, and then I assume the rescue is going to then happen before they hope they'll have enough time to rescue Korra, save everyone before the Red Lotus execute whatever they were going to do. Because I assume they'll go under the assumption that if they wanted to kill her, they would have killed her anyway. That doesn't seem to be the case. They want to use her for something like that, so it's going to take some time. They've got some time once Korra's handed over. And that's really interesting. But and then you have to like add into the fact that like Kai has escaped on one of the baby bison. Like, where's he heading? Is he going to meet up with the group and kind of reveal kind of some of the details about how the Red Lotus have the like their captives like organized and stuff like that? Or is he going to be more on his own? Like, is he going to run into like Kaya and Boomy, and it's going to be like the three of them, the presumed dead characters from last episode, doing a surprise attack? Then if that's not the case, what are Kaya and Boomy going to be doing down the bottom of the mountain? They're injured, but what are they going to do from here? I assume at some point all of these characters will like meet up, and it will be like this big huge thing. Lin, Suyin, Kaya Boomy, Kai, Lin, Tonrock, Mako Bolin, Asami, Varric may be coming into things as well. He has, I assume, has to have some big moment. All of these characters leading an assault on the Northern Air Temple to get everyone out. And at that stage, it's 4 against like potentially hundreds, or you're getting into the hundreds if there is that many airbenders up at the temple. But again, I'm not really sure what's going to happen, because we seem to know one image from the finale we've seen before, that one of Mako Bolin in a place that looks to be the catacombs of Ba Sing Se, but they're so far away from Ba Sing Se that they're not actually right now. It depends on what exactly happens once they decide on their plan. Korra's going to hand herself in. What are the rest of the people going to do? Maybe the group splits up and some of them try and quell things in Ba Sing Se, bring peace back to there, establish some sort of a leader to bring peace back to that place, while another group goes to the temple. Again, not really sure what exactly is going to happen. And then there's other little moments like, if you actually think about it, Korra hasn't actually been involved in a big fight this book. Obviously, like, a big fight revolved around her as like the kidnapped victim, but she herself wasn't involved in that. She has yet to fight Zahir, Pali, Minghua, or Ghazan, any of them, in any sequence of them. She's yet to fight them. She's yet to really have a bending battle this book. She's had a few moments where she's demonstrated her bending, but she hasn't actually fought this book. She also hasn't really used the Avatar state this book either. She used it a little bit in the first episode, but I think that's more of, that ability requires her to use the Avatar state. She's yet to actually use it as the kind of power up sort of thing. So that's a pretty big thing that's maybe still has to happen. Um, Maybe she's hoping she can go in there and when she's captured use the Avatar state. Maybe the Red Lotus want her to go into the Avatar state and do something like that. That they don't want to kill her right now. They want to wait until she's in the Avatar state and then kill her. That's been a theory that's been going around since the start. So that definitely is a valid one if they really do like support Vatu. Um, what would what would better kind of promote the growth of Vatu than actually destroying Rava again or something like that, separating the two of them, Rava and Korra. That would be interesting because it would potentially bring Rava back into things as like a speaking character. But there's that. Again, Varric, we know something's happening with him. We know he speaks at some stage in this book about his childhood and it's funny. There seems to be something set up with him and the whole magnet suit, maybe, and just the idea of magnets, so maybe he'll use that at some point. Bolin still has to potentially metal bend at some point. I assume Opal will come back into things in terms of a speaking role. She was obviously in the last episode, but used as a kidnap hostage. So there's still their relationship to touch upon. You have Janora thinking Kai is dead right now, and their eventual reunion, we assume that will happen, and how she's dealing with that fact, and add to that as far as they're aware, Tenzin's hardly beaten up, potentially like presumed dead by a lot of the other characters. So that's going to be a like pretty tough thing to stomach for that family, seeing Tenzin so badly beaten up and stuff like that. And then you have, the Makon Bolin's family is like with the group right now as well. So is there anything going to happen there? And yeah, there's just a lot of situations going on. There's so much that kind of has to occur here for things to go, for this episode to be considered a success. And overall, I'm just kind of like, I'm not actually sure exactly what's going to happen here, because some of it's going to take place in Boston Say, or maybe it's a part of the Air Temple. We're not really sure. Some of it's going to take place in the Air Temple, obviously. The key thing to remember is that we're going to 2 episodes, not just 1. So there's the potential that the first episode takes place at the Air Temple, and because of what happens there, they switch to Boston Say again, and stuff like that. One thing I think has to happen, though, is I do think we need some more information on the Red Lotus. I think we need some more information individually on Zahir, Pali, Minghua, and Ghazan. Backstories, I doubt there's enough time to tell the backstories of every single one of them, but I would like some more characterization for them all. I think maybe going to Zahir's backstory, because there's still the open kind of mystery about, is Su Yin a member of the Red Lotus, or did she know Zahir in the past, and stuff like that. Because that would be a big thing going into this episode, where you could do a thing where the group defeats the Red Lotus, and we think they've won towards the end of the first episode, but then the Su Yin turns on the group and turns the tides of the battle, and the villains win out. That could potentially be a good way to end the first episode of the finale, or kind of have that Azula-esque moment where you end basically book 2 of Avatar, you end book 3 of Korra with this kind of sudden good character turned evil moment, which would be really interesting and cool setup going into the book, where yes, the Red Lotus are defeated, but Su Yin is now revealed to be the new villain, while it's not a new villain going into book 2 as such, because it's a character we know, the fact that she's now a villain is a new thing going into book 4. And maybe that's where Toph comes into things. She sees that the new villain is one of her daughters, and she comes out and is part of book 4, potentially. But that kind of maybe goes against the whole idea of people thinking that book 4 is going to be more Fire Nation focused, finally get to meet Zuko's daughter and stuff like that, which would be really cool. And really, it's the only nation we haven't seen in Korra again, really. So that would be cool to see. Um, what else is there to talk about? There's I already talked about Jinora and Kai a little bit. I think Jinora needs to have a big moment in the finale, I think, just to cement her status as like a more or less main character in the show now. She has moved to a level above like Milo and Iki and is part of that main group, and she has more lines, she's more important as a character than them. So I'd like her to have like a big moment. Like Kai kind of did what he did to save her and her family. I'd like her to kind of have a moment on that level to kind of show that she's maybe inspired by Kai and stuff like that. That she does, I suppose, prove that she deserves those arrow tattoos, prove that she is a master airbender, because it's one of those moments where you're kind of like, I personally don't have it as a problem with this episode, but why Boomy over Jinora in that fight? Obviously, Tenzin wouldn't want her involved in the fight with these people. She is very young as a character. She's 10, 11 years old, we're not sure. Probably more 11 years old at this point, with all the time skips between books. But maybe he wouldn't want her involved in the fight. But I think now that Tenzin's potentially out of the episodes as a fighting character, being so badly beaten, it comes into play that she is the next in line as a Master Airbender. Add to that the next episode is called Into the Void, and early speculation in this book was that Zahir's was looking for effectively the same technique that Jinora has been using all this book, that ability to basically project your spirit in the physical world, and maybe that's what Guru Lahima's talking about all this time. And maybe if with Jinora captured, she'll try and use that ability. Zahir will notice her using it, and then suddenly turn his attention to Jinora and question how she knows how to do this legendary technique that only Guru Lahima knew. So there's that there to play into things as well, and make Jinora important as well. Venom of the Red Lotus. I think this is the book of Korra most set up to have a cliffhanger ending that continues into the next book. I'm still not 100% confident that like Zahir, this group, Zahir, Pili, Minghua, Gazan, will continue into book 4. I think that's something will lead to their defeat, and there will be some sort of a new villain going in, but it will be in some way related to the Red Lotus. Or whatever they do will result in their defeat, but they'll have done something successful or something like that. I'm not sure. Then there's still early on in the book, there's still a setup of Republic City. Raiko's in charge. He doesn't want Korra there. Korra's banished from Republic City. How's things going there? That's more like epilogue type thing. She returns to the city. Things are more peaceful now. Issue with Raiko and stuff like that. That still has to be resolved. But the final thing I just want to discuss is that a lot of people are thinking that Tenzin's dead just from the way last episode ended. I don't think he's dead. I think he's just badly beaten up, as I've said many times throughout this video. But what I think it's valid speculation going into the finale that a main character may die in this finale. I think just what they did to the Earth Queen and the level of intensity they had in the fight from the last book really puts like a target on everyone's head in this series, effectively, that they're not just safe because they're a main character now, that they're willing to go as far as to like badly injure these characters. They're potentially willing to kill them if it will add something to the series. And I can definitely see how possibly killing a Tenzin, killing a Zuko, could do something massive for this series. Tenzin, for me, adds potentially like the most in terms of character development, in terms of him dying. One, it immediately presents Jinora as she kind of has to be promoted to Master Airbender. She kind of has to take on that role as kind of effective leader of the Air Nation, and that makes her super important then. Him dying would mean that Korra is without her main mentor, and it would add to the fact that she is running out of people to rely on. Like, this book, she didn't have the past avatars. without Tenzin, she obviously won't have her main mentor, especially if Zuko is going to be gone for a long while. So it would really present Korra in the situation where she kind of would have to do stuff on her own, and she would really, in a way, become part of that kind of heir family with the loss of Tenzin. And she would also probably have to really help in the training of these airbenders, because she's probably as close to a master airbender too with everyone, even though she's not part of that culture. She's not going to get tattoos, but in terms of the skill, she would probably help out. And then just overall, like what that would add to the series, just in terms of, like, no one's safe. It would just be this landmark moment of like emotion if they did it. I don't know if they're going to kill one of the main characters. I really don't. But this Red Lotus group, of all of the villains so far, seem the most likely to like do that at some point. But given that we've already had it set up that Tenzin's been beaten up, had it set up that Kai nearly got killed, had it set up that Bumi and Kaya nearly got killed, maybe they'll go away from that. They've already had a death this book. But either way, I'm excited for the finale. I really am. I think there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in it, and I just cannot wait until Friday. But yeah, I'll end it here. Just say that in just a few hours, I'm going to be recording the Korra Roundtable for K311 The Ultimatum. So that will go up on the site, avatarthelastairbender.online.com, in like basically an hour or two after we finish recording. So definitely check out that podcast. I think this episode will have a lot to talk about. We'll obviously have a bit of speculation at the end, like I've done in this video, but also with more people, and see what the multiple fans think about this going into the finale. So, yep, thanks for watching this speculation video, and bye.